What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. We are already here. Pretty Little Liars Summer School Season Finale. It's episode 8, Final Exam. We left off episode 7 seeing that Rose Waters was still alive and in Mouse's house, and Kelly floating in the pool after Bloody Rose attacked her. So, a lot to unpack going into this episode. Still a lot of questions to be answered in this episode. And an episode that can say after watching it has people talking online, both good and bad. So let's just jump in and talk about everything that happened in episode 8, Final Exam. But first, before we jump in, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down below if you do enjoy the video and want to see more content going forward. So we open the episode with Farron diving into the pool to get Kelly out of the pool. Gets her out, gives her mouth to mouth to try to get her to start breathing again. She eventually does come to. The girls show up afterwards and Kelly apologizes to them about Redemption House. She said how she locked her mom in the prayer closet in their house so it couldn't be her, that is Bloody Rose. They're like, okay, a lot to unpack about that sentence, but they agree that it was maybe possible that she broke out. But they show up to the Beasley house and she is still locked in that closet. So that, for the most part, exonerates Mrs. Beasley as a Bloody Rose suspect. They tell Kelly to be careful with Bloody Rose still out there and the reckoning coming, whatever that is going to turn out to be. Imogen fills in the girls about how she was with Dr. Sullivan at the cemetery and she went missing. And her car was filled with roses just before all of this happened with Kelly. Was Dr. Sullivan snatched or is she Bloody Rose? Mouse tells them how Rose Waters was at her house just chit-chatting with her grandma. And I called it. Her grandma was friends back in the day with Rose Waters. We find out in a little flashback to Mouse's living room and her finding Rose Waters there talking with their grandma. She was friends back in the day because obviously their parents were friends, in quotations, with Angela Waters, Rose's daughter. Apparently, Mouse took Rose Waters to Crazy Joe's train car to not just leave her at the house with her grandma. Rose wasn't there when they showed up, but there was rose petals on the bed in there. Are they going after mothers again? They rushed to Tabby's mom to make sure she's okay because she didn't answer her phone. She got roses too, apparently, with a card that said, "I love you more than life itself." Girls realize they can't really trust anyone at the moment. The news shows that the Ravenswood Penitentiary, where A was held, had a prison riot and apparently Archie, whatever you want to call him, died. Seems suspicious. Detective Maroon agrees and is heading out to the penitentiary to check it out. Nice little callback there. Another show town in the Pretty Little Liars universe. Ravenswood, nice little throwback there to obviously the PLL Halloween episode, then the spin-off series that Caleb went to that only got one season, I believe. I don't think it got a second season. I'm pretty sure only got one season, if I do remember correctly, but nice little callback there. Kelly shows up and she was talking all night with her mom, including suspecting Mrs. Langsbury. Apparently that was her mom's first thought. Mrs. Beasley apparently had reached out to her and she was a remorseful void with an awful darkness inside of her, Miss Beasley said. Imogen says as much as they don't want to, they need to suss her out. They go to Miss Langsbury's house to bring some stuff of Chip's that was apparently left at Tabby's. His mom got roses too. So, well, we're kind of barnstorming through the suspect list here currently, as it seems pretty early on in the episode. Jen asks Noah, "Are you just focusing on girl suspects?" Asks, "Doesn't that Christian guy make horror masks? And what about him and Johnny just showing up out of nowhere?" Imogen and Tabby fill in the girls about what happened with Chip's mom. Spooky Spaghetti is apparently saying that this is the sign that they were waiting for, that the reckoning is coming. The principal shows up and they all apparently failed their Keystone practice exam, so they gotta cram and make sure to not get held back. Noah brings up Johnny and Christian being added to the suspect list, saying should they be added? Imogen's like, why are boyfriends? Tabby throws Jen's name out there. Mouse agrees about the mask part being concerning about Christian, considering the possible real-life Davy mask that Imogen saw in Redemption House. They're like, Mouse, it must be nice having a boyfriend who people don't suspect is a murderer. Sean doesn't make sense either here, as they agree because they just broke up. The girls are like, this isn't us, as much as we don't want to think it. It most of the time is one of the boyfriends, so they agree to suss out Johnny and do some recon on Christian and regroup for a cram session. They say to Mouse, since Ash is out of suspicion, you monitor Spooky Spaghetti. Is he out of suspicion? I guess we'll see. Tabby calls AMC for a reference on Christian. They don't remember the name, though, supposedly. Imogen asks Johnny who he's texting. They're at the creamery while they're working. Like, you're not keeping your options open with other girls, are you? Asks for his phone, and the last person he texted was her, saying, can't wait to see you at work. Miss you. Johnny's like, I know you've been through a lot, but please believe me, I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. She's like, I want to trust you. He's like, it's okay. It's a crazy time. Mouse is scrolling Spooky Spaghetti, and there's a video of Bloody Rose killing Sandy, it looks like, and says this is the prelude. Imogen goes into the freezer at work. They seem to fixate on the wrench in the toolbox as she's walking in, so it's like, is she about to get attacked here? But she finds a body behind the ice cream. 2 bodies, it looks like, at least. Can't tell the faces, though, but I believe one of them was Sandy. Imogen grabs the wrench and goes at Johnny like, you killed them, and starts freaking out at him. Johnny is trying to calm her down. She hits him across the head and drags him back into the freezer and locks him in there. Tabby shows up at Christian's, doesn't appear anyone's there, goes in the basement, and unfortunately for Tabby, our suspicions might be correct. She finds a real-life Davy mask in Christian's drawer in the basement. She says, it's always the boyfriend. Walks upstairs and Bloody Rose is there. She screams and falls down the stairs. Mouse had texted the girls to meet up. Imogen tells them about finding the girls in the freezer, and they're like, why isn't Tabby here? Mouse's teacher calls and says the server is coming from, boom, the Orpheum. Called it. So it's coming from the movie theater. The girls show up at the theater and ask Christian where Tabby is. He's sweating. He's like, I don't know. The AC broke again. No one's answering. Not the repair person. Not Tabby. Tabby's locked in what looks like, I guess, a confessional closet thing. And with a note in there that says, confess your sins. They ask Christian where the computers are. He says upstairs. Tabby breaks down the door to find a bunch of creepy masks, memorabilia, all set up. And then basically a big picture of the poster that we've seen throughout this season, showing all of the girls' final girl moments throughout this season. Plus, look like Pastor Malachi in there with his stabbed out eye. The girls and Christian find a note. Hot in here, or is it just me? Check out my movie in screening room 3. Great, we're attracting Dr. Seuss, Farron says, to provide a little humor in the moment. Multiple people in masks show up, including Bloody Rose and Archie, as Archie grabs Tabby. They're streaming Tabby and everything that's going on there. I believe it is the church at this point. Bloody Rose says, confess your sins about my son. Tabby says, wait, Archie or Mrs. Langsbury? As she starts to put it together, Bloody Rose says, who else? Chip's mom is Bloody Rose. Mrs. Langsbury is Bloody Rose. We were literally just in her house, Imogen says. The person dressed as Archie takes off his mask, and it's Wes. And it is Kelly's crazy church that they're at. Bloody Rose says, confess your sins. My son did not do those things. I couldn't save my son, but I will redeem his legacy. Wes says, pretty good dilemma for a horror film's final girl. Says he's live streaming the movie. Says you can tell the villains what they want to hear and walk away, or stand your ground and everything gets way worse. The girls are trying to rush to the church, and a bunch of people in masks outside the theater show up, and the one guy takes off his mask, and it's the guy from the pawn shop that cut his forehead, so clearly is a part of the reckoning, and it's the guy whose dad sold his computer. He says, blood for Bloody Rose. And they close the door and try to rush back inside. They break through the door, and the girls and Christian run to the screening room. Abby says to the camera, I confess, Chip Langsbury raped me and Imogen. We survived not only the Millward Massacre, but also Chip, and he got what he deserved. Bloody Rose, or Mrs. Langsbury, whatever you want to call her at this point, tries to stab her. Wes says no, not yet. Tabby asks Wes why he's doing this. He said he cleaned out Chip's locker, took the stuff over to the Langsbury house, and eventually grew close with Mrs. Langsbury and opened up to her as well. Wes and Chip talked about making a horror film, supposedly. Before, Wes suggested making a horror movie where you actually killed someone for real while live streaming the movie. It even seemed like Chip, as messed up as he was, wasn't down for this. Wes created Spooky Spaghetti, recruited the people, apparently from Pastor Malachi's church cult thingy. Tabby is like, you couldn't find any other way to make a movie. He drops the ignorant line again. It's hard for a white guy to break through right now. Noah leads the girls to stealing a car, calls Jen for help on how to hotwire a car. She said, it would be an honor. Tabby says, you think you're going to get away with this? He said, no, I want people to know that I masterminded this. The people, or the spooky spaghetti minions, whatever you want to call them at this point, they see the girls in the car and they run to attack the car, but they finally do get the car started. Go, go, go. Russ reveals he planted the mask in Christian's basement, so seems like Christian is out of the woods. Tabby says, you're a hack, I know it, and everyone knows it. Just a small, pathetic loser with a grudge against the world who wants to feel like a big man. Wes says, shouldn't you be thanking me? I'm giving you what you always wanted for your story to be celebrated for years to come. Tabby says, so without me, your movie's garbage. I'm not giving you your final girl performance. He said, sure you will. You just need the right motivation. They show a live stream at her mom's house with 7 of his spooky spaghetti minion people outside the house. Wes is like, all the exits are covered. There's nothing to do. She runs, jumps straight out the window. Wes says, I was hoping she'd do that. Wes says to Mrs. Langsbury, he'll be back for the post-credit and the sacrifice. The spooky spaghetti minions chase after Tabby while running through the woods. Tabby's able to take out one with the log, so there's 1 down. Boom, takes out a second, and now 3. Just wipes out 3 men, just wipes the ground with them. Now it seems to just be Wes after her. Wes finds her and she starts running. He says, that's my final girl. Not creepy at all. The girls show up to the church. Tabby finds Bloody Rose's cabin, but instead of going in there, she circles around back. Wes shows up and assumes she went in there and is like, perfect. Walks in as Tabby eyes a pitchfork on the back side of the little trailer cabin thing. In the church, Bloody Rose comes out of the confessional cabinet, whatever it's called, with her knife, and Farron just kicks her right in the face, knocking her out. Wes is looking for Tabby as she walks into the cabin with the pitchfork. Apparently Wes built this place. Wes says, you don't have it in you to kill me. Well, guess what, buddy? Boom. She stabs him. Bye-bye, creep. No more Wes. Tabby sits outside, waiting for the girls to show up. The girls go check out if Wes is actually dead. He is, even though he wakes up, starts screaming, and Imogen just punches him right in the face, and he is gone again. Dr. Sullivan was tied up in the closet. There's cop sirens, and then we get a 2-week time jump. The girls are taking the Keystone exam. Dr. Sullivan has them back in a group session with all the girls, talking about the Keystone exam and, being stressed about if they passed or not. Asks how they're doing. How's Christian doing? Thankfully, they weren't able to get him while he was calling the cops when he was in the screening room hiding out at the Orpheum. Asks if they've had their double date. And apparently Johnny wanted to cool it after being locked in the freezer. Kelly supposedly found him, and it seems like got him out of the freezer. Hopefully in enough time where he didn't get any hypothermia there. They show him talking to another girl at the creamery, but still eyeing Imogen. Hopefully, if we do get more seasons, this relationship isn't done, because I did really like the relationship, and I think that Johnny was good for Imogen. Jen led the charge for their cramming sessions, since she did pass her Keystone exam. Wes and Mrs. Langsbury arrested, so I guess I take back what I said. Maybe Wes isn't dead, was just knocked out enough so they can get him arrested. Spooky Spaghetti shut down, and all the minions accounted for and being charged. Dr. Sullivan says, so what about us now? With all the loose ends almost tied up. The girls say, we think it's time to pull the plug on this final girl support group. Thank her for being a huge help, even through the ups and downs. Dr. Sullivan suggests them do something nice for themselves while waiting for the results of their exams. They're at the pizza spot talking about their summer, and they reveal that they all got FGE tattoos, Final Girl Energy. I love that, and a nice little callback to the matching tattoos that all the OG liars got, I'm assuming is what they were going for there. Kelly is in there too, included in the group, and I love to see that. She says her mom's going to kill her when she finds out about the tattoo, and that they agreed no more prayer closet, so I guess at least a little step forward there for the Beasley household to be a little less creepy. Imogen says she's done with summer and ready for junior year, no matter what happens with this Keystone exam, or just ready to move forward, it seems like, from Imogen. We have each other always, they say. They all get a text. Seems their Keystone results are in. They head to the school, and moment of truth, they all pass. Once again, love the group text freak out little callback to the OG PLL as well. Imogen and Tabby are back at Tabby's house talking about how they can get through anything after what they went through. Imogen asks Tabby if they're still going to make their Rogue Millwood Massacre movie. She says she thinks she might be done with Archie and Bloody Rose. Maybe making a movie with something new. A new slasher villain maybe? Or villains plural, as Tabby says. Then we get a shot of the girls walking through the school in mask, and I'm like, is that the OG liars? It looked like the original OG Allison masks from the original series. How angry would Archie be that we're finally moving on, they say? Hold on a second, we're not done yet. We head to Dr. Sullivan's office. She's on the phone talking about her book. She says they're narcissists. They'll sign off as the final step for the book to be their big Christmas release. Talking about the girls here and the book that she was writing, she revealed in an earlier episode. The lights go off and she's like, I'll have to call you back. She gets off. Dr. Sullivan is like, who's there? Office hours are closed. I know you don't have an appointment. It's Archie in the doorway. She says, I thought you died, but they don't know the truth. The boogeyman never dies. Just tell me the truth. Did you kill Sebastian? And then he comes up. We don't get the answer, and he stabs her and apparently kills her. So, wow, what a finale. What an episode. What a season in general. The closing scene is the girls walking through the school in those masks. I'm thinking that's supposed to be the OGs in the Allison mask from the original series. So now I'll just give my thoughts on the episode and the series as a whole. First off, online, there's been some mixed discourse, I guess you could say. Some people like what they did with the finale, how it was different. Some people are like, it was solid, they could have done a few things differently. And then some people just absolutely hated everything about it, like you get on the internet. But it doesn't really make sense. I'm like, did you just want the cookie cutter ending that, you know, was probably expected, like to just go out there and just give one reveal? This is Bloody Rose was behind everything. Like, no, we got the reveal, plus a bonus reveal that we didn't know in terms of we got the reveal of who Bloody Rose was, who was a suspect all season. So some people were able to guess that, but they kind of did a little throw off earlier in the episode. Then you got a second reveal in Wes being involved as well. He's been creepy since season 1, and that was a reveal that he was involved with Bloody Rose as well. So this was two people. So this is, you know, a different reveal instead of just like, this person's A, this person's the bad person, this person's the bad guy, the bad girl. So this was like a little bit of a twist, right? It was, hey, this is who we were focusing on all season, Bloody Rose. And it's like, wait, she's kind of like, yes, she's bad. She's Bloody Rose. She's been doing all this stuff. But guess what? She's had an accomplice who's been helping her along the way this whole time. So I thought that that was a cool twist in the finale here and something different. The Dr. Sullivan reveal at the end, her calling them narcissists while talking about her book, then Archie coming in and killing her. Now listen, that I can understand being a little bit upset with, but I mean, I would have liked, and what I was kind of hoping for was a reveal that Dr. Sullivan was like really related to the Waters some way, like maybe was Archie's aunt or something, or maybe even just as simple as her son, Sebastian, met the Waters somehow at a summer camp, or, you know, something like that, like that she knew them in a little bit deeper way than just what was explained. I thought that would have justified the ending for Dr. Sullivan a little bit more than what we got, but besides that, I was fine. I thought it was a really good finale. I thought it was an incredible season overall. I think I'd rate this one a little bit higher than season 1. That might be Prisoner of the Moment. I thought both were awesome. I feel like there was more red herrings in this one, which is what I tend to like in mysteries. Getting a bunch of different suspects and different red herrings, like sussing out Dr. Sullivan as a red herring, you know, Mrs. Beasley seemingly being a red herring. I thought Mrs. Langsbury was a red herring all season. She wasn't. It seemed like Wes was a red herring as well. But that's the fun of this. That's the fun of these Pretty Little Liar universe in general, and, you know, the mystery genre in general, I guess you could say. And, you know, the red herrings, you can throw Christian and Johnny in there as well. I mean, I didn't think there was no real clear villains, which I think was a strong point of the original PLL as well. It was a lot of suspicious characters that could possibly be A or could possibly be involved. So that'll do it for this season, season 2. All I gotta say is we better get a season 3. I hope we can find some way to bring in the OG PLLs as well, even just as a cameo or a little connection, seeing them on screen and interacting. Not saying they have to have an integral part or anything, just even seeing them on a screen for a little cameo would be enough for me, and I think for a lot of the fans as well. Maybe I've seen a lot of people suggest a opening season 3 if we hopefully get that with Dr. Sullivan's funeral and the girls being there, and, writing that in somehow. I think that would be awesome. So I would love to hear what you all think on the finale as a whole, the season, and where this ranks compared to the first season of Pretty Little Liars, Original Sin, first season, Pretty Little Liars Summer School, this second season here. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching the recaps. If you watched them throughout the season, or if you've just watched a couple, or just watched my theories and prediction video going into the finale, thank you all so much. But that'll do it, so I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.